We've already made a commitment to increasing police numbers, particularly police officers to work in neighbourhood policing.
It's as shit as it ever was.
A teenage girl in handcuffs, Ricky Gervais fuming. Public outrage spilling onto the streets. While violent offenders, abusers and predators roam unchecked in Stars Britain, an entire police unit was dispatched to arrest a schoolgirl, her only crime being that she bought food after curfew before turning 18. The image is shocking. A young student treated like a hardened criminal for something so ordinary. It feels not only absurd but deeply unjust, raising questions about the priorities of those in power. To many, this is more than just a single incident. As Ricky Gervais points out, it's a symbol of a system where the law bends one way for the powerful and another for everyday people. The sudden arrest of a child over something as small as a fast food run has shaken the nation. And for good reason.
Some things I'm more mellow about, some things I'm more angry about. Like, I never really cared about politics. I went through the phase at sort of, 15, 16, thinking I was Che Guevara. But then you think, there's no point. But I realise the thing that makes my blood boil is obviously animal cruelty and all injustice.
Ricky Gervais has never been one to wade too deeply into politics, but this incident pushed him past his breaking point. What he saw wasn't just a one-off abuse of power. To him, it exposed one of Starmer's most uncomfortable truths, a two-tier justice system and the sheer injustice that comes with it. Starmer promised tougher street patrols and stronger neighbourhood policing. But if this is the result, a full squad of officers storming into a McDonald's to drag away a teenage girl, then the government's priorities couldn't be clearer. This isn't about keeping people safe. It's about control, and control in the easiest places. While real threats walk free, the weight of the law falls on the young and powerless. It's a grim reminder that under Starmer's watch, force isn't applied where it's needed most, but where it's most convenient.
If you don't like that, if you don't like the changes that we've made, I say the door is open and you can leave.
Starmer seems blind to the everyday reality of ordinary people. He governs from a distance, cushioned by privilege, never setting foot in the neighbourhoods where his policies cause the most damage. Ricky Gervais sees it for what it is, Starmer twisting laws and rules to suit himself while ordinary citizens are left to suffer the fallout. And then comes the message from on high. If you don't like the way things work, you're free to leave Britain. In other words, it's the victim who should vanish, not the one responsible. As usual, Starmer stayed silent. Not a word about the handcuffed schoolgirl. Not a word about the outrage. Not until the pressure reached breaking point. Ricky Gervais pounced on that silence, accusing him of hiding behind the press while people's lives are being upended. In Gervais's words, a real leader would stand up, face the music, and admit when the system's failed. Not duck for cover until the headlines fade.
Pretend it never happened. That'd be tough. That'd be tough. If I could, no, I don't think I could do that. Even if I was absolutely scared, I couldn't pretend it never.
This girl was never a political figure. She was just a teenager. Yet now she's at the centre of a national debate. A debate over whether the authorities are targeting the harmless while ignoring the dangerous. For freedom-minded voices like Ricky Gervais, the question is simple. Is this really how taxpayer money is being spent? Because while violent gangs armed with machetes roam the streets of major cities in broad daylight, while grooming rings and predators destroy lives unchecked, the government somehow finds it a priority to send a full police squad into a McDonald's to arrest a schoolgirl over a curfew rule. In some districts, patrols barely show up at all, either out of fear or a desire to avoid headlines about migrant crimes spilling across the channel. And yet, when it comes to a teenager buying food, the state comes down with full force. That absurdity is exactly what Ricky Gervais zeroes in on. A young girl handcuffed and dragged into a van over a burger. It would almost sound like a sketch from one of his shows. If it weren't so bleakly real, when comedians start sounding like the only serious political commentators Gervais has warned, you know something is very, very wrong. The fact that we're even having this conversation should force everyone to stop and think about the state of Starmer's Britain. It's a moment where parody and reality blur and no one is laughing.
It always comes back to that principle for me. All politics starts with that. Every discussion, offence, right and wrong, everything, fundamental human rights. So I think I can, and there's so much misunderstanding that it's like you think that you can't make any quantum leaps when you talk about that, because there's such a fundamental misunderstanding.
Starmer's Britain is drifting further and further from the image of a once great democracy. Say what you will, but under his leadership, the policing apparatus has grown massive. The real question is not how big it is, but how it's being used. Take Tommy Robinson, arrested time and again for speaking out against crime and illegal migration. Yet in the very same country, police hesitate to step foot into neighbourhoods where gangs openly terrorise locals with machetes. Officers themselves admit that some areas are no-go zones after dark. Others avoid them entirely to sidestep crime reports that might make their superiors look bad. But a schoolgirl in McDonald's, that's easy. Handcuff her, twist her arms behind her back, drag her into a van, job done. Even if she had broken some ridiculous curfew rule, wouldn't it have been more reasonable to call her parents or relatives? To resolve the matter like adults instead of criminals? What possible good comes from treating a teenager like a violent offender? The only certain outcome is harm. Mental scars that may never heal. Bruises from the cuffs that classmates will laugh at. Humiliation that lingers long after the headlines fade. Meanwhile, taxpayers are footing the bill. Squad cars, officer time, transport, paperwork, all to detain a child. Resources that could have gone toward investigating real dangerous crime. And people are noticing. More and more the public sees the double standards playing out in today's police force. The strong armed tactics are saved for the powerless, while the truly dangerous continue unchecked.
Double standards of policing here in the UK. It was okay for 10, 20, 30,000 Black Lives Matter protesters to gather and protest. I have no commentary about that right now. But how is it okay for them, but it's not okay for one little white lady? What is it the government are so afraid of? And to those boy police officers, I say, what you have on there, your little fluoro vest, that's just a costume. It's fancy dress. It doesn't make you an officer of the law. It certainly doesn't make you someone that I have any respect for. It seems to me like you spent too much of lockdown with your face in the fridge or possibly at the drive-thru at McDonald's. Time to get out and sort out your exercise routine and get yourself into some kind of shape before you start arresting elderly ladies for the crime of standing politely on a street corner. Come on, fat.
While Starmer's two-tier justice system unfolds, another 12-year-old schoolgirl has fallen victim. On Culture Day, she wore a British flag dress to celebrate her heritage, even preparing a speech on British customs, tea, politeness, weather, and local cuisine. But before she spoke, teachers reprimanded her and removed her from the event. Her offence, wearing a British flag dress. Her father highlighted the hypocrisy, a diversity day welcoming all cultures except the majority one. In Starmer's Britain, being openly British is becoming shameful. Born here? Keep quiet, conform, and follow trends. Yet the damage was done. A 12-year-old humiliated for simply being proud of her culture. A pattern repeated as institutions prioritise others over their own citizens.
The 12-year-old girl, Courtney, was punished by her teachers after wearing a Union Jack dress to her school's Culture Day. Astonishingly, Courtney's father claimed his daughter was told that Culture Day was not for her.
Courtney went into school. She was taking part in a culture diversity day, which was held by the school. She got as far as the school gates, and I think the school stopped her and told her that she wasn't eligible to take part in the events that day. They took her to one side, put her more or less in isolation. They kept her in reception. She called me and I had to go and collect her from school.
And I can't find a word wrong with it. You were celebrating Britain, but you're also celebrating the diversity of it. You never got a chance to read that. How has all this experience made you feel?
Me not being allowed to read my speech, it's really upset me and it's embarrassed me as well, because I've prepared it and I really wanted to share it to my school.
You know, Courtney, I've got a girl myself who's 11 and she puts so much heart and soul into reading things out at school. It means everything to them. To be denied that, Stuart, is a cruel blow to any child. But could I ask you about the broader topic here? There's a feeling that it is now becoming commonplace in Britain, especially in schools, to be ashamed to be British.
It's taken a flag down, somebody giving them some kind of abuse for a national flag, and people having, as well with culture days at school, not being able to take part. You know, it's not for British kids.
Yes, Britain has reached a point where being British feels shameful. Schools subtly teach children to suppress or reject their identity. Starmer's education system seems set on enforcing the party line. History shows it's easier to shape the young than reprogram the old. If Labour can't erase memories of Thatcher's Britain, they can at least limit what children know. Challenge this and you risk being branded far right, losing your job at best, jail at worst. This culture of fear builds slowly through countless small acts of suppression. Each incident, a schoolgirl arrested in McDonald's, another shamed for wearing her flag, sends a warning. Yet the more they clamp down, the more voices like Ricky Gervais refuse to back down.
Human rights. So I think I can, and there's so much misunderstanding that it's like you think that you can't be too, you can't make any quantum leaps when you talk about that, because there's such a fundamental misunderstanding about what free speech is with the general public. It should be taught in schools what free speech is. Comedy, free speech, and animal welfare. And I can go off on millions of tangents with animal welfare because that is complex. So I think the best thing, probably the first two, if I wanted to be funny as well.
This isn't just about one arrest or one school event. It's about the direction the entire country is being steered. When small, harmless actions by ordinary people are treated as major crimes while real criminals walk free, the public trust in the system begins to collapse. Starmer's Britain is starting to look like a place where loyalty to the party matters more than loyalty to the people. Ricky Gervais has become a lightning rod for that frustration, saying aloud what so many quietly think but are too afraid to voice. His blunt words cut through the silence, and that's exactly why they resonate. If this trend continues, the next generation will inherit a nation unrecognisable from the free and confident Britain it once was. And unless more people speak up now, that change won't just be temporary.